Turn to ban.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, well.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Thank you.
Dire team ban. TNC Predators.
Not yet, but I've got one on hand. You can see it behind me. It's right there when I need it. I can't open it right now because my bed is not a very solid surface, but I've got even more there as well. Like, all set for it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. TNC Predators turn to ban.
In terms of gameplay, it just hasn't been kind of molding together. What's happening?
I think they've got to adjust their playstyle. The execution just kind of fell flat on the bounty hunter who could not really find the track kills for his team. They didn't play around those track kills as well. They never finished something like a spirit vessel to deal with the Oracle early on. They did have a way of dealing with him with Gabby, but that was so far into the game that it was a bit too late at that point. I think if TNC is going to draft something like the Bounty Hunter again, something with 2 greedy cores, they have to be able to buy that space. The tricky thing is that Adroit is the kind of team that won't give you that space. Their playstyle is just online all the time, running down at you. You have to be ready for that. I don't think TNC can afford 2 greedy cores like the Sniper Ricky. They're gonna have to go with something a bit more selfless. Even KP's Underlord, like, it doesn't take too much farm, sure, but it needs other cores to really get stuff done for it. It provides great control, great DOT, but needs something built on top of that. And they just didn't have that in the last draft for TNC. I would like to see that corrected. One thing as well, when you're playing against Adroit, you notice these ban-outs. They have to ban out the Tusk, they have to ban out that clock because of the options they have with Boomy and Bach. These guys just play these kinds of playmaking heroes in the pause 3, pause 4 really well, and you have to expend those bans on those heroes. So a lot of higher priority heroes do slide through that Adroit can pick up. Like this time around, Magnus PA not banned out. That's something Adroit can fall back to if they wanted to.
Well, for now, John, Adroit, they do go into the first pick, Chen. Chen was available. They did have to ban out those clocks, those tasks, those earth shakers. And so the Chen goes through for Adroit, and we know they love running this hero. TNC definitely should have seen this coming. Like, this should not be a surprise to them. Adroit always takes it if it's available. They should have a game plan for this, and for now, they're going to pick up the Centaur, and they are going to go back into the Tim's Grimstroke. You know, I'll be frank, John. I can see why you go the Grimstroke route. Obviously, it has amazing wave clear with the Stroke of Fate. Thing is, though, when we're talking about Tims, I feel like if you're gonna have this type of a time up against a team like Adroit, you've got to give him the big playmaking heroes. Like, because he's the guy that can really carry the team if it's required. And I just don't think he can do that with the Grimstroke.
It's not the flashiest hero. It still gives you a lot in terms of team fight. It still gives you a lot of value as well. I think the Centaur Grimstroke combination is pretty potent. The Stomp, the Inkswell on top of that. Not too much for the Soulbind, I guess. Perhaps a double edge split. That Soulbind is pretty nice. Not the strongest combination you would want to build on top of that for TNC. That's something we always look for when the Grimstroke comes out. Really strong partners to make use of that doubled spell cast. But just this combination alone does give you great control. Adroit responds straight up with a Troll Warlord, though. This is a hero that it's just going to run up at you. You're not going to be able to burst it down if you don't get the control off. Have the Chen to help sustain him anyway. It's playing into what Adroit likes. They like running at you early on. They like having these heroes that just stay online, aren't under any threat, even without farm. And the Chen Troll is just what they like from their draft. They're just going to run at you.
10
They hit level
seconds
6 in the Chen. Their push is sustained. Their fight is sustained. They've got that hero once more that keeps them alive. You do have to wonder from TNC whether or not, with this kind of draft, with the game plan that Adroit has in mind, they need something that can stop that regen. They go with the IO themselves to give them some... They have sustainability, they have presence globally, they have great ways to start these fights. We don't know the combination with the IO just yet, although IO Centaur, I guess, is pretty decent. You want something else coming out. I don't want to see the gyrocopter. that's really it. I don't want to see the gyrocopter coming out. It can be decent here, but
TNC Predators.
I'm just tired.
Aren't we all, John? Aren't we all? Adroit, they do go for the madness pickup, something we love to watch. Oh, there it is, TNC. They do pick up the gyrocopter. I mean, what are you going to do? You have an IO, you take the gyro, makes enough sense. I still think, I mean, we both agree, this hero just feels so lackluster every time we see it. On paper, it dishes out so much damage. But when you watch him dishing out that damage, it doesn't feel that effective. Like, whoa, my dog's going ballistic. But what was it the other day? There was OG was playing a gyrocopter. Samel literally had to get 3 divine rapiers for the hero to be effective. I mean, come on now. I think this hero isn't strong enough to be viable, but I guess with the IO, it may be pretty good. Maybe.
It has a lot more leeway with the IO. Like, you can get a lot more done. You have a lot more allowances to really start the pressure. But Adroit, you've given them the Magnus. They have the Troll. That was going to come out every single time. I believe that's either... I think that's actually the Boomy hero. You're going to have Boomy on the Magnus, just supporting his Troll, getting the RPs off. It should be a Bach Batrider once more. So you've got these playmaking heroes set up for Adroit. You've got the sustain from the Chen. You've got the laning presence from the Chen, from the Batrider. And TNC, they have a gyrocopter, which has the IO. Yeah, great. You have great sustain, at least in that sense. You can kind of hold up lane out. You don't really have a great combination with a Grimstroke there. Again, we were kind of stretching it with a Centaur, but there's no one here that really will benefit from the Soulbind. That's a bit of an issue, because the control you get is nice, but the best cases with Grimstroke have been, in my viewings, been with a Doom or a Lina. It's getting double Doom or instantly bursting 2 heroes down. You're not getting that with this lineup from TNC. They still have room for something bursty at the end. It is looking a bit iffy. They need to buy space for their gyrocopter. And Adroit, we saw it last game, they do not give space away.
I guess I could somewhat defend the gyro. But if I had to, I guess there were a lot of gold changes on the map, right? A lot of gold has been removed from the Dota 2 economy. Up against the Chen, who does provide you a lot more gold, assuming you can take down the creeps. I suppose in a team fight, if the gyro can get a flak cannon off, essentially taking down those Chen creeps will give you, 200-300 gold. So it is, you do have that. I don't know. I'm not even going to bother trying to defend the gyro. It's just, forget about it. Forget it. TNC, we'll see how they finish this draft off, because they do ban out the Void Spirit as their final ban, and I have to agree with that. If there's one hero that can really jump in on an IO and just destroy the hero, it is probably the Void Spirit. Adroit will get rid of the Queen of Pain, and they take the Storm, which is another hero that can do the exact same thing.
Exactly. Like, they've still got a great way of jumping in there, of bursting down that IO straight up. You don't have the control here from TNC. Like, right? You don't have any way of keeping the Storm in place. You could throw the Soulbind, hope the Storm flash to someone else. I guess that's it. But nothing instantaneous there to keep that Storm Spirit down. So you can expect it to really just have a free time. Mac is just going to be able to zip around wherever he wanted to. I believe the Ember Spirit would have been a bit of a stronger combination. You do have the Magnus around for the free empower, right? You're going to get so much value from your Sleight of Fist, but Storm Spirit's equally as good and much more slippery. So I like that pick coming out here from Adroit. TNC has to bring out something here in their last pick to really carry them through in that early game. They need to shut down this aggression that Adroit is looking to pump out. I think Alina would be a really good fit here. Want to run the core Alina down mid, can build off of the Grimstroke. It's great right click if you want to melt the tower down. Not the fastest, but it can be decent. They go with a Faceless Void.
Okay. Is that a mid void? No, it is going to be the mid-gyro. Okay, that makes more sense. I guess the gyrocopter up against Storm isn't too bad of a matchup for the gyrocopter. Assuming, of course, you can break the distance on the Storm, John. Before that level 6 mark, obviously, Rocket Barrage is very, very nice. And now you have some very nice team fighting catch for Mac on that Storm Spirit. You were correct, by the way, in saying it is going to be a position for Magnus. It is Boomy on top of that. Overall, we are in game 2. We talked about it in the first game, but there's going to be no tiebreakers after these group stage games, but rather it is very important for your seeding that you do win every game you can get, and for TNC and Adroit, whoever wins this series is essentially going to avoid having to play Fnatic in the first round of the winner bracket playoffs. So I'm going to ask you, who's got the better draft?
On paper, I should be favoring TNC slightly more because we've seen Gabby's Void, right? TNC plays around that Chronosphere perfectly every single time. I just have a feeling that the aggression from Adroit might be a bit too much. If TNC can always force out the Chrono and always find those kills, they have great synergy with a Gyrocopter in that case. He stands outside, he deals the damage as well. Any way of counterplaying that as Adroit, there's just no counterplay. One of those spells where you get caught, that's it. Unless you have like a Venge, you're probably going to lose the heroes inside, especially if that Chen's not in play. So TNC has a way of making that happen, but that will take level 6 in your Void that has a timer that you're always going to have to play around. Adroit, sure, they have a bit of timer with the Magnus RP. That's really not the major factor. It's going to take a while for Boomy to find a farm for the Blink anyway. He's not going to get the biggest farm prioritization, even though they will give him a little bit more than you'd expect. It's just a farming capability you can get with having that Empower around, and the impact Bach can have. These heroes just have so much great presence.
I apologize, we do have to move into the game now. Enough of this draft screen. Of course, we do have betting odds. Game 2 is looking between these. I imagine Adroit are probably like the favorites now going into the secondary matchup, but we will see. And TNC is still the favorites? Is that out of date? I'm gonna check. I'm gonna refresh it just in case. I mean, they.
Batrider ng Batrider, puta.
Well, do you want to explain what it means, John? I don't speak the language.
I'm gonna scroll up a bit. Nan-trash talk pa si Bok, yabang. So Armel's accusing Bok of being a bit braggy. And Boomy's like, Mel, sapakin mo yung carry mo. Mel, slap your carry. Bok's like, it's like, oh no. Like, talking too much. Trash talk rubbish. It's like, keeps talking trash. They're just having a bit of... And March interjects Bitoy Gak. He's learning! He's learning, guys. Unfortunately. Oh god. It's just trash talk. Friendly internet cafe culture shrine.
Thank you for that, John. Of course, we do have a bit of a scuttle Boomy. Going to be able to steal a bounty rune. Oh, is that 4 bounty runes? Yeah, Adroit takes 4 bounty runes off the side of TNC. And that is not the greatest start for TNC, but that's certainly going to help the cause of Adroit.
Definitely will. Like, that's just going to give them a lot of an easy time down mid, especially. The Armel can kind of bully out the Storm here. Does have pretty good level 1 spells. He has good damage. But for that extra gold, it shouldn't take too long for our Storm to get...
I have to keep a very close eye on Armel this game. See how well he can perform up against Mac in this Storm Spirit. It should be a Gyrocopter favored lane up until Mac gets those higher levels up. It should be just perfectly fine, but who knows? Like Mac, he's already feeling confident enough to just dive that T1 a little bit and try to get the dive on top. It's very nice to know that range creep. Does he find another? He does not. I guess it's another thing as well, Armel. He'll have to be very careful about where those rockets go when he commits rocket barrage, because he did just give a deny away to Mac on a range creep.
Something you have to watch out. But you fairly even lane until you hit level 3 both sides. That's when it starts to get exciting for either the Storm or Gyro. Kind of dip away. I think the bot lane is where there is going to be a lot of action. So much aggression you can expect from the Batrider and the Chen. Have ways of really amping up the damage you can pump out, and there's only so many time walks Gabby can let off.
Of course, looking down in that bot lane, CML going to be there up against March, and you're going to have Gabby and Bot going at it on the Batrider and on the Void.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
And CML will find Gabby's courier on the way out to the Void, and that's not going to be good news for Gabby, as of course Bok is going to be providing a lot of harassment, especially with that sticky napalm. And well, at least Gabby does have the wand up, so we'll be able to at least get something back out of it.
Shouldn't be as hard of a time for Gabby. Like, you're not seeing Bok really commit just yet. That is because Gabby's holding on to the time walk, and CML hasn't been focusing on trying to force Gabby to expand. Not gonna have a window just yet in the bot lane. Find any sort of commitment.
Well, KP, falling low to Natsumi, but he'll be alright, he'll survive. Only problem is KP really doesn't have any regen. I think he does have something coming out on the courier. He does use the stick charge, but no, it's still no regen. He'll get brown boots. Tims will come back in and take care of the regen for him.
That's one of the nice things of having that IO in the lane. You don't really need too much regen. The IO just needs to go up, and you can get to a reasonable amount. Now, while all that was happening, Boomy was trying to get his own farm by pulling the wave. He's been stacking for himself as well. If this move isn't punished by TNC, Boomy's gonna hit a pretty good timing on his own farm.
Boomy really not allowing them to try and contest those jungle creeps. Being very frustrating up at this top lane on that support Magnus. We'll rotate mid now, and Armel got to run the other way as Boomy does have the level 1 skewer. Armel is turning around. Skewer back into the tier 1 tower. There's going to be no follow-up. It was a bit of a bait play, but Armel does not continue moving forward with the Inkswell, and Boomy will deny them the illusion rune by taking it himself.
A lot of commitment from TNC to keep Armel alive. They do understand a prioritization of this jar. He needs that early farm. He needs that early levels. One movement like that from Adroit and suddenly you have 2 supports leaving their side lanes. That could cause issues. That does free it up for Adroit, and we have seen them do this before. The moment you give them leeway in these side lanes, they can find a lot more to play with.
Armel, he's down the first blood. It looks like Matt was trying to go in for a kill attempt there, but ends up dying first, and Armel will happily just kill himself off and get a reset on the gyrocopter. But that is going to be a very, very important kill for that gyro. Definitely gives him a bit of a lead after that laning phase.
Bit of a even exchange for sides. Not going to be too upset. Going to be a bit better for Armel because find that kill while he's alive. Soak a little bit, but Mac does get some additional creep.
Plus, looking back down to the bot lane, Gabby, he's been farming okay on the Void. The Bok has been a little bit frustrating on this Batrider. There's really not much you can do with your Gabby, and we talked about this before, where there's only so many times he can time walk the damage off that Bok is dishing out. It does help him quite a bit, however, and Gabby just be forced to back off again. He has to play this very safe. Like when you look at Natsumi's farm, Natsumi's just really getting so much further ahead. Currently about 18 last hits ahead of the Void.
It's a good time for the troll. That's all happening while Boomy is playing the jungle. So he's playing this super greedy Magnus support that just isn't being hunted down.
Tower is under attack. Dire structures are fortified. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
TNC gonna try and force in that mid tower very, very early. This is one of the things you can try and do up against a Chen draft, right? Where you try and get that map control before they start trying to go for it. Because once they try, you can't really stop it though. Bot lane Gabby almost falls very low on that Batrider. What I was trying to say, John, is if you can force down these important towers early on, if you are on TNC, it almost denies Adroit that option to try and do it themselves. In fact, Mac zips in, having this missile going to be dodged, but the T1 does still go down. And Mac essentially finds himself without a lane.
He has really played much more aggressive down mid. They're playing around Armel much better. This is sacrificing their side lanes, and you actually look at the net worth difference. Adroit, even though it's a 1-to-1 in terms of kills, Adroit is 3k ahead in net worth. They've found a lot more farm on the map, a lot more efficiently, because they're giving space to these greedier supports to find that jungle farms. Umi's going to be set to have a decent time to his blink. You have Bok, who is having basically a free time down bot, although
they do commit cooldown or commit chrono for this Batrider kill, and Bot barely goes down. He didn't have any stick charges to commit. That was a lot committed for that first Batrider kill, but I suppose if you have the chrono, if you have the cooldown, just commit it. Just get a kill out of it.
That's definitely how TNC has to play this. They've got to play it. You need to shut down that troll. You can't give space to Adroit to try to hit their timings. You have to start shutting down this map. There's way too much jungle farm being taken by Adroit right now. This is how they're going to recover. Mac needs a lot of this to get started. You do have a lot more leeway for Natsumi, as he hasn't been tested up top. But they find Armel.
They do. Still, he does have the IO, but now the lasso back. Tillis has no choice but to follow Armel and try to keep him alive, and it won't be enough. Armel actually still falling. Still getting burnt down by the flame break, I believe it was, of Bot, but it does not end up being enough. A very, very close call, however.
It's a lot of committal from TNC to keep Armel alive. Basically, never seeing Armel without his two supports. He's always going to have Tims around, and even March kind of has to stay in that general area where the gyrocopter is. So once more, you're keeping your gyrocopter safe. It's coming at the cost of giving farm to everyone else on Adroit's side. Yeah, you managed to find Bok a couple of times. He's still going to get that pretty on the Boots of Travels and the Blink. And once that's up, of course, he's just going to be a menace around him.
We see March trying to be very disruptive on that Grimstroke. Trying to really take some farm away from Natsumi. He was just farming up stacks. March will try to take an outpost for himself prior to that 10-minute mark. He will, but he should be taken back in time. I say that, but TNC look to try and set up a team fight up at that top lane now, as they are going to try and force in that tier 1 tower. Mooney's the only one there just freely farming up on the Magnus, but KB going to commit the Stampede. And that'll be the level 4 Magnus going down, and that should allow TNC to pick up this tier 1 tower.
We're going to find really easy objective so far. Adroit is not going to be fighting this one. They're the ones taking the back seat this time around. They're the ones playing a bit more passive. It's up to TNC to really maximize this spike, this advantage they do. We're going to have Chrono up on Gabby in about 10 seconds. You would want to see another Chrono flying out, try to find a couple of easy kills, and go for more objectives. Perhaps that tier 1 down bot. That's going to be a very easy target to take, or maybe start pressuring a tier 2.
You still kind of question what's happening with Natsumi though, like, he's 4.9k, Matt's right behind him on the Storm. Speaking of Matt, John, he's 1.3k ahead of the gyrocopter. Now there's going to be a bit of a team fight up top, or rather, Adroit is going to try and defend this KP. Gets a very nice hoops onto Bok. RP is available on Boomie. They're going to be careful about that, but he does commit the skewer. And Adroit just aren't ready to team fight yet. But back to my point, in terms of cores, Adroit is really finding so much more farm.
They definitely are. They're 5k ahead over TNC despite being so far behind. Although the Chrono onto Mac, that should be a good kill.
If it is a kill, Mac will just zip away. Yeah, he's gone. Just keep being.
Oh,
what are you going to do about it?
They had the relocate on Armel. They did land inside a Chrono, so they could preemptively cast a homing missile to try to keep him in place, and that just cost him. That would have been a nice kill. We talked about the timing in the chrono. At the very least, Gabby's trying. It doesn't pay off, and that's more time for Adroit to farm up. 5k lead, I mentioned earlier. They're still getting really good farm distribution. Boomy is just about 500, 700 gold away from that blink in the goal.
Top lane, RP does come out from Boomy. They found Tim's and Armil. A sitting duck without his IO. And that's kind of what you're worried about. Like, the Gyrocopter just does nothing once the IO is dead. Tim's is kind of just playing a hero that can't do anything on his own. He's very reliant on being with that Gyrocopter. And, well, with all this farm going Adroit's way and with no signs of slowing down, like TNC, you kind of wonder, what do you do? Like, is Gabby really going to find enough farm to keep up?
Gonna need a lot, and they really need to play around that chrono. This is a really strange situation. Normally when you're 2 towers behind, you have a bit of a net worth lead. Just TNC have neglected to farm so much that it's costing. We'll find Bach.
Yeah, Bach. Nice kill. So do get the Bat Rider.
It's under attack.
It kind of feels like a distraction here from Bach, though, doesn't it? Like, you've kept this Bat Rider down, fair enough, and it's going to take him another while to get that blink up. But now you look at Boomy, he has a blink up.
That's it. That's what Adroit's waiting for. They've got ways to set their plays up. They've got ways to take these team fights. We already saw the effect of his RP without it. Like, sure, he just catches 2 heroes. That's enough. That's all you need to catch the IO Gyrocopter. That's always going to be enough to fights for you.
Top lane Bach, keeping an eye out on Tims and Armel. He does have the lasso, would love to just drag Tims away. Tims, flame break does connect as he tries to tether. Bach will not chase any further. And looks like TNC have now grouped up as 3 and started smoking. You do have the chrono that just came off cooldown for Gabby and he wants to commit it immediately. However, it is going to be into another 4 or 5 man smoke here from Adroit. And are they going for a Roshan play or are they going for a gank? Well, they'll spot out Gabby on the Void. They must know Chrono is available, but they'd love to just go for this team fight anyway. In fact, Gabby making big Chrono, and he does. It's on the Storm, but now the Brad back on the KB match. He survived through the Chrono. He's booming! He failed 3 of them, and they're all going to fall apart as Armel, who'll try to run away. Kids will buy back immediately. The fight continues as March in the back gets taken out. They do at least find the top warlord, however. Battle Trap was popped too early on, and now they relocate Tims. They're going to try and find something more out of this from Matt. He's taking out CML. Can you get a TP cancellation? No Bash is coming out. Oh boy, they found the troll warlord, but you committed buybacks for that.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
That is, I don't know if I'd call that well worth it.
No, definitely not. Not with the amount of buybacks are worth it. Adroit can be extremely happy with how that fight went. The Chronosphere is just not enough. Kill off Mac with the farm he has, and with the damage on Gabby, they had Armel around towards the end. Not quite enough. They need the Gyrocopter around to damage off onto Mac. Otherwise, that Chrono not gonna be enough, and they don't have any other way of keeping control on Mac. Chronosphere gone, he's gonna zip around just fine. This is gonna be a constant issue for TNC. With that Chrono expended, this is an opening for Adroit. They don't have RP, but they can force out some ganks at offs if they so.
Well, they're gonna get back up to that top lane, TNC. They continue to try applying pressure. Boomy, he's going to find Mark in the Brimstroke. Instorm's going to be there with the silence. He can't skew away, but Matt is there to help him. In fact, the whole team's there. Boomy has already died. Matt trying to find a trail to March. They can't get fast enough, and that'll be enough. They run away.
It's under attack.
The TNC, I doubt they chase any further. And they do back off.
Lot of caution from TNC while this Chrono is down. I do respect that they still are trying to play aggressive when they can. That was a really far movement from Boomy. I think he was trying to get the skewer off, trying to wait out or kill off that silence out. Quite enough that by himself gets punished for it. That is a clean pick-off for TNC. This is the moment where they're kind of playing cautiously. Gabby is forward. Could be targeted here. He does have... Well, now he doesn't, but... Gonna have to be cautious as...
Yeah, relocate is coming in. Bot will just wait. Gabby, Chrono in a second. He will have it up very soon with the lasso. A second before he has it. And now the sun coming to him and will take him out in tins. Tiny from the right. Just perfect. And now poor KP gets slowed up, gets vortex up, he has to submit the stampede, but Booty says no, you're going nowhere. Sit down, young man.
Adroit just all over the map, always finding these big kills. You just can't afford to leave for a moment in enemy jungle when Adroit is just basically in that. They had the outpost, no one was TPing and no one going in to help anyway. They lose a tier 1 for their troubles as well, and Adroit is still holding on to that solid 8k lead. There's nothing fluctuating here. Constantly, Bloodstone coming out for Mac that's going to allow him to just zip around wherever he wants, but less of concern for working towards Ag straight up. With the RP, having that Vortex AoE follow-up. There's so much control that could come out here from Adroit. It is a bit scary. They've got to... TNC has got to find a way to kill off Mac.
Well, they haven't yet. You've got Gabby with the Diffusal Blade, and I guess, you know, if he can drain the mana of Mac and Chrono, even if he doesn't kill him, it may just be enough. Mac has not been very concerned about that yet, that's for sure. He's just getting bigger and bigger, especially with that Bloodstone. He just has so much sustain. And, well, Natsumi, what's he got coming on the way? He's got a Yashra. Mid lane Mac gets jumped on, Sans is there, Gabby has Chrono. He may have to commit and does. But the world healthy this Storm is, John, he won't die. Soullight comes up, they heal it up, and now Boomy jumps in. No RP available, they actually do find Mac. They found Boomy as well. Now they need to go for more. It's not enough. More filter through the flame break box. That was not the one you're looking for. Maybe it was. The lasso. Gabby goes down. They have chased too far. KP will also lose his life. And maybe 2 kills was enough. Maybe they should have just ran away. His March. He knows. He tries, but he is dead.
Just not even trades here. TNC, they do at least find the kill on Mac, but they lose out on Gabby anyway. That's slow for TNC. This is going to allow Adroit to just straight up go to the Roche. They know the Chrono's down. They've got a troll with a Morbid Mask. Straightforward Roche to take.
Yeah, that's quite fast. I guess they just give the... You'd assume they'd give the Aegis to Mac, sure. Like, no, Natsumi will take it. Okay.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
It's fair enough. I think it's still much more value on the Storm, though.
On paper, it does give Natsumi technically 3 lives to play with. He has a lot more leeway to just stand and fight.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I mean, he does have more net worth as well, so I guess it makes enough sense if you look for the efficiency of play. However, Arnold does go for a heavy halberd here.
I think they
fair enough. You've got the disarm now, but...
Yeah, like, you need to stop Natsumi from getting that damage out. That's gonna give you a very good way to negate his battle trance entirely.
Well, they're gonna need that soon, as Adroit is pushing in that tier 2 mid tower. No Chrono available on Gabby for another 40 seconds. Armel. Disarm. Box for a lasso. Skewer back. Who they found? It's KP. Call down will be committed, and Adroit will just simply walk out of the big circle. Do you reset? Do you keep going? Natsumi says let's keep going, and Matt goes to the vortex. Back onto KP. They want that Centaur gone, and now a soul bind to be expended. And so they're forced out 2 ultimates for the really nothing. Like, TNC don't get anything out of them at all. But Adroit, they don't feel confident, they do want to back off, and I suppose that's fair enough. Like, right now there's just no rush for them.
There were opportunities there. Boomy hasn't expended the RP, although the Chronosphere is back up from Gabby. That could be why the hesitation was there. They are keeping track
Radiant are
of that
scanning.
ult usage quite well from Adroit and TNC. They've been playing around the time of that Chrono well from Gabby, but Adroit seems to be every single time they just kind of toss Mac in front. They know Mac is always going to be the biggest target. He's in front. They did manage to clean him up last time around, but that wasn't in the duration of Chrono. That was because they got the Soulbind off. Adroit are still happy to extend that Chrono until it's happening during Chrono. That's always going to be the trade Adroit is looking for.
Well, bot lane. Adroit will take the T2 tower. TNC, they're trying to set up for the top tier 2, but they are going to have to come back and defend this. There's a tier 3 about to be taken down by Adroit if they're not too careful. Every ultimate on the map is available apart from the Soulbind. But that'll be 10 seconds away on the Grimstroke anyway. Adroit, they do not choose to pursue. They'd rather back off. With the 13k net worth, you certainly don't want to give TNC away back into the game by losing a huge team fight. So you can understand why Adroit is being rather cautious about this. Natsumi gonna bait Arnold forward. Boomy looking to find a skewer for himself. They'd love to find Gabby first because he does have Chrono available. Skewer back from Boomy. He doesn't want to risk getting caught in the Chrono. KPing out. Gonna be fine as well. So they jumped on Mac. He actually finds the void! Way out of position! Gabby!
Just trying to farm in that downtime, punished hard for it. They still have the RP on Boomy, mind you. So they've got a lot of tools here to force a fight out.
No buyback on the void.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
This is the chance. Definitely they're going to find a tier 2 tower, like there's no doubt about that. But the question is, do they try and force a tier 3? I think you do. I think you try to force a buyback and you'll find that there isn't one. In fact, he's with forward Mac. He found KP the same thing. What's committable too late, and now the update comes in. Boomy found two of them and blows them up. And it looks worse and worse for TNC as time goes on.
Radiant's middle
As now Adroit should be able to clean up that first lane of rats. There is some legitimate concern about Gabby and the Chrono. And in fact, with that Heaven's Harbor being popped up, soon as you want it back, well, he still has an Aegis. He knows it's going to expire soon anyway. So he may as well risk his life. And they're going to start to really try and pressure him back. The Aegis should go. In fact, Natsumi's just telling him, take it. Just take it. The disrespect from Natsumi as he runs away. And TNC? I guess they still have Chrono, but this is still a dangerous team fight to take. Looks like Adroit will back off anyway.
They're going to be very happy with that. These managed to use the Aegis right before expiry. They take the melee racks. They take tier 3 tower of the game as well. It's just pretty much that. 8-14. 18k net worth lead. 24.5 minutes. I mean, that's not something you see too often when the enemy team is running the Gyrocopter IO. They're supposed to be the ones farming up. They're the ones who are supposed to be bigger, at the very least, on Gyrocopter. Like, maybe a bit more even in terms of... Gyrocopter should definitely be way more farmed up now. Even Gabby is taking the backseat in terms of farm. His Faceless Void only has the Diffusal, Alacrity, nothing else.
Well, no, we'll have the Aghanim Scepter up soon on the Gyrocopter, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Just TNC, they're just so behind, and the map's getting smaller and smaller for them. They go up as 4 to the top lane. Oh, Bot, he does pop his head out, so they could try to go for this, but it almost looks like it's a bait from Bot anyway, and they won't bother wasting their time, as Adroit has started to force in the Bot tier 3 as well.
They've got the RP up and running again, although they're out. Looks like they've got the Shadow Blade up and running on their mag, so a lot more options for the. Finally, CR melts. Aghanim Scepter up, so his damage output is going to be a bit better. He's got a lot more stats to play with. I don't think that's going to be enough. You have to consider Ags on Mac. Control Adroit has to play with RP being they do have the Chronosphere. Gabby needs to land it on a big target. Like, go for Mac again, burst him down in the Chrono, and then try to clean up. Don't overextend. You can find that kill and you're not in a good spot, take it. Take it and back off, because Adroit will fight back, even if they're behind.
Oh, Lasso will be caught there. It is going to be the Grimstroke, and March could not survive. That's your Grimstroke gone, there's no buyback. Matt now going straight up, sits on the iron. He comes out again. They're just gone. Arno will also die. No buyback available on the gyro. Tim's brought back, but who is he got to tether to? That's it, GG's call. They've had enough.
Roy taking it 2-0 up against TNC. Really clean game number 2. They got the Magnus. It wasn't banned out. There's a reason why in every match of Adroit that we watch, that's a first phase ban. Slid through in game 2. TNC could not deal